Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Yeah, 거의 cold. Yeah, 너와 있을 때 I swear. 제가 먼저 zero 폭설한 그 children. 꿈에도 I wasn't dumb. 나만 빼고 넌 모두에게 참 친절해. 배신감이 들어 단판이 돼도 머릿속을 흔드니 ibuprofen 그만해 it's time to stop. 승부욕을 자극하는 style. Yeah, 알면서도 마음이 자꾸 내게 가. I'm 빠져버릴까. If you want me back, I'll tell you I'm sorry. If you want me back, I'll tell you stop trying. Yeah, you got me. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Yeah, girl you cold-blooded. Yeah, girl you cold-blooded. Yeah. Girl you cold-blooded. Girl you cold-blooded. I'm like frozen 뭐야 모든 스트레스는 gotta let it go 했어. 소개팅 데이팅 어플 다 깔아도 보았어. 반대가 끌린대 opposites attract. Don't know about me and you, yeah we fell into the cracks. Yeah 갖고 노네 no cap. 왜 나는 보여 what's happening. 객관적일 수가 없이 이미 game white flag and waving fast. Yeah I'm leaving back but 말해도 너만 보면 나도 내 맘 I don't know 이건 love a relationship. 헷갈리기만 해 girl. I'll tell you I'm sorry. If you want me back, I'll tell you stop trying. Yeah, you got me. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Girl you cold-blooded. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Yeah, girl you cold-blooded. Yeah, girl you cold-blooded. Yeah. Girl you cold-blooded. Girl you cold-blooded. Yeah, girl you cold-blooded. Yeah. Girl you cold-blooded. Girl you cold-blooded.
Salute everybody. Welcome to another edition of Sir Help Speaks. It is good to see everybody in the building tonight. What is going on? If you guys can hear me pretty well, you guys take a few moments. Let me know that you guys can hear me loud and clearly in the chat. I want to make sure that we give you all a quality experience. If you guys can hear me pretty well, let me know in the chat that you guys can hear me, that we're coming through smooth. All right, let me know. Good to see you all again. Shout out to my Facebook family. Shout out to my YouTube family. As you guys are coming in, let's do some house cleaning. Be sure, hit the like button on the way in. I want to build an audience. We got a conversation we're going to have tonight. It's a little outside of my usual conversation where I highlight somebody who has been seen in the media. But I've heard some things, and we got to address some stuff. We have got to have an important conversation tonight. And we're going to have a salute to Eugene Still in the building. Good to see you tonight. Glad that you were here. Yeah, guys, tell everybody to come on in. We're going to have a good conversation. So before we do this, the Black Manosphere Conclave, we're less than 2 weeks away. You guys know we've been promoting this, the heck out of this event, and it is going to be fantastic. Now, you guys see the list of people who are on here now, but this list is going to grow. The people who are going to be there is going to blow your mind. And so fellas, if you don't already have your ticket, you need to go ahead and reserve your seats now. So the space that we have, it is filling up. And I want to make sure that anybody, especially the men who want to attend, have ample time to do so. So do not hesitate. Get your ticket. We want to make sure you are there. I'll be speaking on marriage and relationships. Delita Turner is going to be there. Obsidian, Real Nathan Daly, Theo, Shannon Rawls, the culture clinician. There are tons of people talking about image and a whole lot more. So if you guys don't have your ticket yet, go ahead and get that. We definitely want to see you there tonight. All right. Hope you guys have had a great week. Hope that you guys are doing well in your life. And I appreciate you guys supporting me on my Friday show. I'm trying to get this kickstarted to really focus on relationships. And today we're going to do just that. Andrea, good to see you. I see you in the chat. What's going on with you? It is good to see you here. Salute to you. Eugene, still good to see you, sir. So why am I doing this show tonight? You guys, we know I could spend time talking about the Sukianas of the world. I could spend time talking about the Lizzos of the world. I could spend time talking about a lot of stuff. But tonight I wanted to do something because as I'm on TikTok, as I hear conversations, as I coach, there's this belief that I noticed that a lot of women have about relationships. And we have moved so far out of our normal gender roles because of societal pressures to push us in different directions that we don't even have natural affection. And the thought of such commands or it warrants an argument for so many people. And if this conversation is just YouTube, if it's just social media, I don't have much to say. But what I'm getting ready to share is being talked about even in churches today. And I don't typically like to do anything that may cause some type of criticism, but I think this is a befitting conversation, and I want you guys to participate in it as well. Salute to Tasisha. I get to see you in the building. Salute to the one of the only Dr. Nakumbe, Insights and Perspective. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He says, shout out to Sir Health Speaks Network. Greeting to you and your family, your mods, those in the chat. Much respect to Dr. Nakumbe. Thank you so much for being here. It is good to see you tonight. Salute to SHSN Mod. Good to see you tonight. So, guys, we got an interesting conversation. And Sir Health Speaks, is there a way to attend the conference via online? Yes. So what I'll do after this this live, there's going to be a sort of live with everybody, a sort of high-value conversation with everybody who is going to be speaking. And that will be live. So I'll put the details in the description right after this show is done. But absolutely, shout out to Dr. Nakumbe. And we're going to have to get you out there as well, Doctor. Matter of fact, I'm taking a note. Yeah, we got to do some work. All right, y'all. Everybody, we tell everybody to come on, join in, hit the like button. Tonight's going to be more of a candid conversation. I know that I can get preachy sometimes, but tonight I really want to talk to you guys, and I really want to help our women to understand that, number one, men love you. Your man loves you. And the other truth to that is men need love too. It just looks different. And so we're going to spend some time talking about that. So there's a scripture in Ephesians. It comes from the 5th chapter where it talks about how wives are to submit to their husbands essentially in everything, and that husbands are to love their wife. And the argument that I've seen from so many people is that the Bible never says these words explicitly, that a wife is to love her husband. And people have taken this concept and have just run with it. So we're going to break this down tonight. I'm going to start, we're going to react to a couple things first, and it's going to lead up into what we're talking about. All right, guys, hit the like button on your way in and let folks know that we are in the building. All right, guys, you heard Devon Franklin. Now this is very difficult for me to show this because when he went through that whole ordeal with his ex-wife, Megan Good, I defended him. I'm like, he's a good brother. But after this particular clip, it hurt his credibility because it sounds like he's pandering to his audience. Take a look at this, and you guys let me know what you think as well.
This is really interesting. In verse 22, this is the creation of the woman, Eve. But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Huh? Am I reading it right? It says the man said. Eve came into the earth. Watch this. Adam was the one who was broken. Eve Eve came into the earth whole.
Now, wait a second. Wait a minute. I want to rewind this a second. I want to make sure that I didn't hear it wrong. You know, y'all be saying I jumped to conclusions. So let me make sure I do my due diligence. Take a listen to this. Now, what did he just say?
Came into the earth. Watch this. Adam was the one who was broken.
So this is what we call eisegesis. This is when there is something that is not in a particular verse or in there, and reread that into the scripture. So that's what you guys hear now. Hang on one second. My dog is barking. One second. Yep. So you hear this, that in Genesis, you know, God he makes man from the dust of the ground. He makes him, he breathes into his nostrils in the breath of life, and man becomes a living soul. Adam is put to work. God gives him a job. And from there, God understands that it is not good for man to be alone. You hear him say this or read him saying this. And as such, he puts Adam into a deep sleep, takes a rib from Adam, and creates the woman. Nowhere in there does it say that Adam was broken. That whole broken term is a more modern term that we use to relate to people in their trauma. And this is being preached over the pulpit. And what this does is it sets a precedent that men are inherently damaged and broken, and that women are whole. And what that has done for the culture, and this is why you see a migration of men who left the church and men who aren't willing to go back, is because things like this, it sets a thought in women's mind that they are inherently good and valuable, and that men are not. And so if a man chooses to wife or to engage in a relationship with a woman like this, he is in for a terrible ride where he always has to prove his credibility and worth in that marriage because of things like this. So let's play some more. I want you guys to hear some more.
Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody. But God says the woman came into the earth complete, not seeking or needing anyone.
Now, so it sounds good, but that's literally not the case. So nobody was broken. If you look back, when God created man and woman, it was good. There was no brokenness there. The truth is, Adam was made of so much stuff that God didn't need to go back to the dust of the ground to make the woman. Adam had enough in him that whatever he needed was within him. So God was able to take what Adam was made of, enough of him to create what he needed to help. The whole purpose of Eve being created in Genesis was to be a helpmeet to Adam. So it wasn't one of these things where we're comparing who needs who. The wife was made to be a helpmeet to the husband to help him fulfill his mission on earth. It bothers me because this is the pervasive message that you hear people flocking to. And we take a particular verse in the scripture and then we just make it whatever we want it to be. And people feed into that. And then when that train of thought causes them to land in their pastor's office looking for marriage counseling because their marriage is in the toilet, then they need some answers. It's because we are teaching men and women to go into serious relationships with the wrong mindset. The woman was made to be a man's helpmate, and we have to stop comparing and stop looking at there was something wrong with men and women are right, or there was something wrong with women and men are right. No, there was something in both of us that we need each other. And anybody who tells you anything different is somebody who doesn't really understand the necessity of relationships. And I'm not talking about survival. I'm talking about relationships. All right. Good to see you in here. Tribal One, I see you in the building. God's gift, I see you. Good to see you. Emils, good to see you tonight. So Devon Franklin, he says this. He says that you know, it was men who came in broken and women came in whole, not needing anything. No, a woman's purpose was to come and to be a complement, to be a helpmeet to the man. It was not about you. Now, there is one thing that he did say that I do agree with. I do agree with one thing, that a woman is not broken just because she's not married. That part I do agree with. And you can't just simply define a woman based off of her marital status. Certainly there are women who contribute in some very serious ways to our society, and some of them happen not to be married. But if we're talking about relationship, we can't just keep on pulling in these elements that are disconnected and make an argument for that. In terms of the Bible, man was here to do a work. Woman was created to be a suitable helpmeet because it was bad for man to be alone. And God brought the woman to Adam to be that helpmeet for him. It wasn't about he was broken and she wasn't. This is a terrible argument, and I wanted to call that out. Let's play a little bit more, guys. Let's hear some more.
Or anything. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but you got to stand in your power. You are one of one. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody. You as a woman are complete.
Now, this is what preaching has become podcasting. And what I mean by that is we say stuff because we know we have all kind of marketing tools to know what our audience is going to respond to. And so he, like a lot of other contemporary preachers, because it is unpopular to really talk about the word, to really talk about really having biblical standards, it's just difficult. Most people don't want to hear that. And it is just easier to retain an audience by taking a more podcast motivational approach to the scripture, because it's unpopular to tell women that, yes, you have destiny inside of you. You've got a calling on your life. You've got skills. But if your goal is to be married, your goal is to come up under the umbrella of a husband and to be a helpmate. It's not about you. And it's just unpopular to say that. And so it's easier to get women on your side by saying what people want to hear. And I hate to say it, but that's what we see in this instance. Good to see you, Bravo with Sheila. It is good to see you tonight. Let's play some more. Let's hear some more.
You're whole. And I gotta say it because I'm tired of us supporting a culture that tries to make women think there's something wrong with them if they're not married. It's just not true.
Because when we think about how marriage used to be beneficial to women, it is what it is. We weren't able to vote. We weren't able to work outside the house. If we got divorced, we didn't keep the kids. Like stuff like that. Like women used marriage as survival because the man was going to take care of her. Nowadays, that's not the purpose of marriage anymore. So it's really like, what is the purpose of marriage for women when you have to have kids, so you're risking your body to have kids. The man wants you to go 50-50 on the bills, so you got to work and pay bills. And a lot of times, women are the primary caregivers, too. It's not like the dad is helping out so much with the kids on average. So it's really like, what is the benefit for women when it comes to marriage nowadays? And
So I'm setting this up, guys, because I want you to see what men are hearing today, particularly young men. So we heard that man was broken. We heard that. Now we hear marriage is not beneficial to women because back then, women weren't married because they loved the man or because they cared about the man. Women typically were married because they had to survive. In order for them to survive, they needed a man. This is what a lot of our younger women are saying. And this is being echoed from a lot of what a lot of older women who didn't have successful relationships have said as well. So let's listen a little bit more.
it's sad because men get benefited from it so much and women seem to not.
I love how in the Bible.
Now, guys, ladies, I want the ladies in the chat to answer. What is the benefits of a man being married today? I want the ladies in the chat, from a woman's perspective, how does a man benefit from marriage? And to all my brothers who are in the chat as well, I want you guys to tell me, how exactly do women benefit from marriage? Because I think that what we've done is we have commoditized everything, that we have productized people, and that unless we can make a transaction from a person based off of what we want that day, there is no real value we see in people. I'll say it like this. So you guys remember like in, I want to say 2011, 2012, salute to you, Scam Likely. I see you in the building. Heritage Tribers in the building. Tez Defy, I see you. What's going on with you? You guys remember, let's say 10, 12 years ago, where you could go and you could buy like an Adobe product, right? You actually had to go buy the product, put it in your computer and install it, right? You could, like Office. It was different things that you could buy. And once you bought it, it was yours. It was yours to own. Well, as time changed, that model changed. And we moved from products on the shelf to what we call subscriptions. And a subscription simply means that you get access to services for a fee, each month or every year up until you stop paying for that subscription. Why am I bringing this up? I think that what we've done in products, not only have we moved to this subscription mindset with products, I think we treat our relationships like subscriptions as well. I think that we're willing to pay for it. We're willing to finance the person we're with, the relationship. We're willing to hold on to that subscription until that subscription no longer meets our needs. And then we cancel that. And then we go sign up for something else. We treat people like we treat subscriptions. And we wonder why women don't want to be in relationships, because there are some women who are preparing themselves, and even some women who are ready for marriage. And it's the same thing for men. Every man that you see doesn't have a gripe with women. Sometimes men have had bad experiences, just like some women have had bad experiences. And I think what we do is whenever we talk about our own individual experiences, we bring our own context to what somebody else is saying, and then we discount what they're saying instead of understanding them. And I think what this does is it keeps people divided. It keeps women who want to love and to be loved from men who want to love and to be loved. Not to mention all of the non-essential stuff that we place so much focus on. So this is an important point to make. If we're going to develop relationships, we got to get to the point, ladies, that men, like all men across the whole spectrum, the whole range of men, all these men ain't out to get you. All of these men aren't broken men. All of these men aren't dogs, and they certainly don't have to prove anything to you. Like, it's important for you to get that in your heart, because if you don't, you will go into every relationship with this mindset that this man has to fix your broken perspective on men. And if he does take that approach, your love language has just become trauma. He has to address all of your trauma and become something that he might not be, just to win your approval. And I'm telling you, if you get a man that changes himself to love you, you're going to hate him later in your life. And that's the very same thing for a woman. If you go and you get with a man and you get with him before he has truly dealt with his own baggage and his own scars, and you change yourself to be what he wants at that moment, at some point he's going to end up hating you, because he will have outgrown what he needed at that time, while you were still a changed version of yourself that's so disconnected from who you originally were supposed to be. Right? So it is not a man's job to prove that he's a good man on behalf of all men. And the same thing it is with you fellas. It is not your woman's job to prove on behalf of all women that she's a good woman. Don't bring your baggage. See them who they are. All right. Let's play a little bit more. This is where it gets dicey, y'all. This is where we're about to get into the meat of the show. This is where we're about to get into the meat of this show. We have to get into this because there are a lot of men who get married, who are in relationships, and there are two D's that I want to talk about. These two D's let you know that this man has lost hope. This man is not fun to be around. I'm going to tell you about the first one. It's the disappointed man. This man is disappointed in his life. He's disappointed with where he is. He's disappointed with his relationships. It's hard to be with a man who's disappointed. Wives, if you're with a husband, he goes quiet. I'm giving you some free marriage advice. Or you in a long-term relationship with a man and he goes silent. I mean, he goes unusually silent. Like, he's there. If you ask him how his day was, he'll tell you how his day was. He'll ask you about yours. But as a man, he's going quiet. He's not saying much anymore. He doesn't feel as the need to be as engaged, or he's not as lively as he used to be. A lot of times as men get older and we haven't hit the milestones that we wanted to hit, we become disappointed in ourselves. And it is really easy for a man to get trapped in his head. And it's an ugly place to be. Fellas on the chat, let me know if you guys can feel what I'm saying. When you feel disappointed in your own self, that you could have made better decisions, you could have been further in life, Maybe you could have made a decision that would have helped you to provide for your family in a better way, and you can't do that. That will eat a man up. And that man, he'll become real snappy with you. Like it'll be like you as a wife, you'll be trying to make him happy, or the kids will try to, put a smile on his face, and he got an attitude about everything. He's kind of surly. Really what that is that anger is really a mask for the disappointment he feels with himself. Like, men become mean when they can't provide like they want to provide. Men become mean when they're not the man that they want to be, and then they don't see any way out. They don't see how they can change it because they feel like they're either too far, they got a mortgage, or they got a car that they're paying for, or they got to put their kids through school. Like, when men become disappointed in themselves, they become very mean men. Ladies, it's important that you ladies hear this, so that if you have a man and you see him change like this, don't go fighting with him. This is where you show love to your man. This is where you comfort your man. This is where you encourage your man. This is where you pray for your man, because that sense of disappointment manifests as anger. The other D is when a man feels defeated. Now, when a man feels defeated, there is almost nothing you can do for him at this point, because he's resolved within himself that there is nothing else he can do. And so you'll see men like this, and you'll see them, like, if you ever go to like a barbecue or go to a family reunion, or you go to a brunch where you see men, and all the men doing it is they sitting down there eating their chicken wings. They sitting down there eating their vegetables and their fruit, and these are very quiet men. If you ask them a question, they'll perk up and they'll respond to you. But as soon as that moment is over, there's like this quiet that comes over the room, and they go right back in their cave. When men feel defeated, they disengage from everything. And then they're just there. They follow their wives around. They don't really have any goals that they're looking for. They're just really going through the motions of life. I'm gonna tell you guys a real story. So I interned for this church. I won't say the church. Hopefully this person is not watching, but I interned some years ago at a church, and I was about 18 years old. I had proposed to my now wife, and I had ended up doing a talk to, it was a room full of adult people. These are educated, married people with kids. And I did a presentation in front of them, and it was electrifying. After I did this, the older man had to be about 60, 65, somewhere around there. He pulls me to the side, and he says, "No matter what you do, you will never be anything without your wife. You'll never be anything without her. She's going to be everything. Everything that you are going to be is going to be because of your wife, and without her, you'll never be anything." When he told me this, I looked in his eyes, and that man looked defeated. He didn't look like he had joy in his life. He didn't look like he was happy. He looked like he was barely holding on to what he has. His wife was around talking to people. She's going around, she's the life of the party. For her age, she was cute, had a cute little outfit on, nice little personality. And the husband, he wasn't engaging with everybody. He wasn't as talkative. He wasn't as outgoing. He just kind of followed her around. He didn't say much, didn't have much of an opinion. And I resolved within myself at 18 years old that I do not want to be that kind of man who I am so defeated in my life. I'm literally telling somebody that you as a person won't be anything without this other person, because I've attached who I am and my worth directly on someone else. That's too much pressure for a wife to have. You understand what I'm saying? And we say stuff like this, and I'm wondering how many men have been affected by this particular mindset, and if this is the reason why millennial men are saying, I don't even want marriage anymore, because of things like this. All right, guys, let's play a little bit more of this video. I want you guys to hear the whole point of what we're talking about tonight. Hold on one second, y'all. Yeah, so I'm going to play this clip now, and we're going to get into the meat of the show. This is by far one of the worst things that you can hear. I believe that this is a great untruth, and we have to discuss this right now. If you guys are just tuning in, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Tell people to come over. We're about to get into the meat of the show. Take a listen at this, and we're going to respond to this. Listen to how she starts this off. Listen how she starts it off.
Well, it does not tell women.
Much, and women seem to not.
I love how in the Bible it does not tell women to love their husbands. It says,
she says, I love how in the Bible it does not tell wives to love their husband. She started off the TikTok with this. All right, let's go ahead.
husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And wives, submit to your husband. Why? Wives submit to their husbands not only out of devotion for their husband, but devotion to the Lord. If your husband is devoted to the Lord and leading you in the love and light that comes from the Lord, it's just a natural extension of your love for the Lord to submit to your husband. Husbands loving their wives as Christ loved the church, that is a sacrificial, unconditional, you can't earn it kind of love. Because the husband is the head of the wife and directly submitted to the Lord, it's a natural extension of his love for the Lord to love his wife in that way.
Okay, wives in the chat, every wife and wives who want to be, I've got a simple question for you that I need you guys to answer. It is very simple. Do you love your man? All the women who are in the chat, married or want to be married, do you love your man? Or if you were married before, did you love him? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds. I want you guys to answer that the very simple question. Wives and women who want to be wives, and those who were wives but husband has passed away. Do you or did you love your husband? I'm going to wait until I get a couple of responses. I see Emil's in there. I see SHSN Mod. You loved your husband. Did you love him? Did you love your man? I'm asking this question because there is this idea that men don't need love, that men don't need the affection of a woman, that they just need respect. And I think we are so used to saying the words, we have no clue with what that looks like. And I think we have people who are trying to interpret scripture, adding contemporary meaning to it, not understanding what it meant in the time that it was said. So to the women on here who says, yes, you loved your husband, what does love look like from a wife to her man? I want you guys to answer this, and I'm going to play a little bit more of this.
It also holds your husband accountable to the Lord, because you can only get the strength and the wisdom to love your wife in that way from the Lord. Stop looking around for examples of love and start looking up.
The Bible never.
All right, guys. Now here we're about to get into the meat of the conversation. This is the main one that I wanted to show you guys. This one to me is very interesting. I want you guys to listen to this very carefully, because this is a thought that I hear a lot of people talk about. As someone who speaks at a lot of different places and are in different men's group, I've heard different men say this. Like we'll be in a group and men will talk. We'll talk about money. We'll talk about business. We're talking about women. But then it comes up that the Bible never tells a wife to love her husband. The Bible never tells wives to love their husband. And it looks to me like a lot of men are not saying this because it's a biblical fact. To me, it looks like men are using the Bible to justify why they're staying in misery. They're using the Bible to justify why they are not getting the love, because they need a reason to stay in something that's not serving them well. And so if the Bible says wives aren't to love, well, that makes sense why I'm not being loved. And that gives him a little bit more courage to stay in a bad marriage. And I want to dispel that. I want to dispel this belief, because I think there's a lot of men who are shying away and they'll never get a chance to experience a family of their own, because we have given them terrible examples of what a loving wife is. So listen to this, what this gentleman says, and you guys are going to hear. Listen to this.
Never tells a woman to love a man. It never tells a woman to love a man, but society has told you that you have to love a man. The Bible says husbands.
He says the Bible says it never tells a woman to love a man. It never says this. So already is what I told you guys before. We take our contemporary ideals and we connect them to biblical truth, syncretism. We take that and we make the scripture mean something that it didn't mean. The Bible never. You know what? I'm gonna go with the example. Do we have any mothers or fathers in the chat? If you are a mother or father, just put a 1 in the chat. If you are a mother or a father, put a 1 in the chat. Salute to Eugene Still. He says, men get lonely, men need love. The only way that we can get the love we desire is to give it. Absolutely. If you are married, if you are a father, you have children, mother, father, you have children, put a 1 in the chat. So if we were to take this argument that the Bible never says, it never tells wives to love their husband, those words never came out. Well, the Bible never explicitly says parents to love your kids. Parents in the chat, do you love your kids? Everybody in the chat, if you got children, the Bible never said these words, parents love your children. Now, if the Bible doesn't say parents love your children, because it didn't say it, do I have the authority to assume that it means that parents shouldn't love their kids? Isn't that a very ridiculous idea? That because those words specifically aren't in there, that it must not mean I should do it? Well, it's funny how we never bring that up, but whenever it comes to a wife loving her husband, this is an argument. And this is why I'm bringing this up, is because when you hear something enough and you attach some really good emotions to it, you have a good story to it, or you say it in a very electrifying way, it sticks, but it is wrong. Just because the Bible doesn't specifically say do this or do that, you can't read into it and suggest that it doesn't mean that. Otherwise, what's the whole thing about, love your neighbor as yourself? What's the whole thing with, the whole scripture about if you love me, love one another, the whole premise of the epistles of John, right? Right. So just because the Bible didn't explicitly say wives love their husband, just like it didn't say parents love their kids, certainly you understand that there's an element of common sense that just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Does that make sense, y'all? Does that make sense?
Sir Helps.
Let's go a little bit more.
Love your wife as Christ loved the church. And the love for Christ is a perpetual love that is not defined by circumstance or situation. It's actually defined by commitment to love. So it says, husbands, love your wife. This is why your wife may be emotional. She may think of a whole bunch of different things, but you're supposed to love her through it, because the love of a man is a covering.
So let's take this a little bit deeper, guys. So I had my shout out to my wife. She made a couple of graphics for me. Hang on one second. She made a couple of graphics for me. Hang on one second. Let me pull those up. I forgot where I saved those things to. I can't find those slides. But essentially, the Bible tells a wife to submit to her husband in everything. If you go to Ephesians 5, the Bible essentially tells wives, you submit to your husband in everything. In everything. Right? Hold on. Let me find this, guys. Yeah, you guys go there with me. I don't want to turn this into a Bible study, but I want you guys to see this. Hang on one second. Yeah, hang on one second. Let me pull it up really quickly. Yes, so Ephesians 5, it's talking to the church about loving each other, about being a church, the duties and responsibilities we have one to another. And as our responsibilities, as we have those responsibilities, it is not just to God, it is to each other as well. As a result of that responsibility, there's a level of submission to God's will and purpose for the role that we play in each other's life. So after this is made mention of, more specific instruction is given to wives. And so you get down to verse 22 where it says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be unto their own husbands in everything. So we talk about submission, and it's very easy to cherry pick what submission means. If he is, if he's leading properly, she'll submit, naturally, right? We say this, but no, when you choose a husband and that man is a believer, that means he trusts in God and his plan for his life, and he's walking there, and he's not perfect. You know what I mean? He doesn't know everything, but he's on a mission and he has a relationship. It is a wife's job to submit to a husband in every single thing. So when it talks about submitting as unto the Lord, well, we're commanded as believers to love the Lord with all of our heart, our mind, our strength, with all of our soul, with everything. It is the same type of submissiveness that we give to Christ, that same type of obedience, that same type of reverence and love that wives are commanded to revere and to love their husbands in that similar manner. The reason why this is important is because marriage was supposed to be an example of Christ's love for the church. And if a wife is loving and respecting and honoring her husband correctly, it gives the church an opportunity to see how it should behave itself, because we are the bride of Christ. It gets deeper and it says to husbands, and it gives more detail. And I'm going to tell you why. Verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So let me stop here. When you have men who are very intentional about the way that their wife conducts herself, or the way that a wife carries herself, or how she presents herself to the world, you see men who are intentional. Well, we're commanded to be this way. This is why there is such a level of rebellion, almost a level of discord that men have with women and women have for men, is because in order for the family unit to be broken, you don't have to mess with the kids. You have to mess with the married folks. And if you can create a wedge between them where she won't submit and he won't sacrifice, then the whole foundation of the family is destroyed, because the man and the woman couldn't come together, because neither one of them were completely yielded to what the scripture said for them. So verse 27 says that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish, right? Verse 28 says, so ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hateth his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. For we are members of his body and his flesh and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery. I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. And this is very simple. Men experience love through a woman's submission, and women experience men's love through his sacrifice. And so it's important that this detail was called out to men, because culturally men were focused on doing work and hunting and building, and the whole relationship social skills that we have access to today, that's not how the culture was. So it was particular attention given to love and demonstrating what that love looks like, because God knows what women need, and he gives men the instruction to love the woman that's in his life. Does that make sense? Let's take this a little bit deeper, y'all. So if you go to Titus chapter 2, I didn't want to turn this into Bible study, but we're here now. If you go to Titus chapter 2, the reason why we spend time talking about older women, and we talk about relationships, and we talk about things like this, and there's so much pressure on men talking about what women should be, like a lot of us, most of us was raised from a Christian perspective. And whether or not you remember the tenets of the scripture, the tenets of your faith, it is still embedded in you in some way or another. So when we see elders acting like teenagers, when we see women acting, older women acting like younger women, and older men acting immature, it bothers something in us, because there is something within all of us that, whether we want to admit it or not, we can decipher between what's right and what's wrong. And so Titus chapter 2, for everybody who says the Bible never specifically told wives to love their husband, here's the teaching that's given to Titus in terms of what the older women are to do for the younger women. It says in Titus 2:4, it says that ye might teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, right? So again, most people hang on to Ephesians 5 as a reason for not loving their husbands. And this is what happens in so many conversations. If you guys notice it, most of the disagreements and the misunderstandings that happen, let's just take this platform for a second. It's typically because somebody heard something and didn't properly assess what was said. And to go deeper, most people don't seek to get an understanding. They just hear a particular soundbite, they chop and clip something up, and they respond to the piece of what they heard without getting the full context of what's actually being said. It is an absolute duty for a husband to love his wife, and an absolute necessity for a wife to love her husband. Whether we have gotten so modern in terms of our thinking that the term love, it almost seems unrealistic. And for the world, this makes sense. But if you profess faith, then your job is to love. And you don't love by words, you love by your actions. So it says that the older women who have gone through life, who have gone through situations, who have made mistakes and learned from them, is the women with experience who are supposed to be able to take their experience and not, let me step back. I think that what has happened is most people don't know how to transition into a different stage of their life. And so we have 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40, 60 is the new 50, because people don't know how to properly transition and to appreciate where they are now. And so everybody wants to stay young forever. As a result of this, we have a whole generation of people who don't know how to be with themselves, who don't know how to be with anybody, who don't know how to raise kids. And everybody is so short-sighted that we have no idea of the impact that this world is going to have, because our kids don't have the foundation that many of us complained about when we had it growing up. So why am I saying this? It's for every woman on here, you have to have that love in your heart for your man. And for every man, you have to have that love in your heart for your woman, because if you don't, you guys are going to be nagging each other for the rest of your life. Somebody going to cheat. Somebody going to be offended. There's going to be some type of violence, whether this is verbal or emotional or physical, because neither of you know how to see each other on a love level, because you treat each other like subscriptions. You pay for a service per month, and then when you no longer need it, you cancel the subscription. Now, I'm going to tell you how this mindset materializes. So you guys heard what this gentleman said on this clip. Listen to what this woman says. Take a look at this.
The support of a woman is a strength. So a man has to love a wife and cover her wife. So while you are getting mad every time she shifts, you're supposed to love her. She's not supposed to love you back at the same level.
When you fall in love with a man, you can get to the point where you do love him unconditionally, but it's only a reflection of his love.
So this is a problem. Is this idea that we've sold to our women and to men that you don't do this until they do that, right? So wives, you don't become a good wife until he becomes a good husband. Husbands, you don't love your wife until she loves you. And what this does is it sets a precedent that I will do only if you do. That if you don't do this, then I won't do this. And that's just not the way a successful relationship works. You can't sit around waiting for somebody to give you what you want before you give them what they need. When you guys choose to be together, you guys are making an investment. And there are going to be some days where you are giving 120% and they only got 30% to give. But listen, don't down them and don't make them feel bad because you're giving 130% while they're only giving 30. Because the way that life is things switch. And there's going to come a point in your life where you're giving 30% and they're giving 130. The reason why you both have to give all that you can give each day is because it's an investment. And on those days where you are low and you don't have the affection to give, or you don't have the ear to listen because you're going through your own stuff, you've got a reservoir of love that you've saved up because you've been investing, not waiting on the other person to give to you first. You've been investing like a person who loves somebody should. Let's listen to a little bit more.
That's why when you're crying over him and talking about how bad he hurt you, something's off, sis. You're not doing it right. He's supposed to be loving you. And through that love, you can get to a point where he's all you want. But it shouldn't be from day one. That's what our moms meant when they said, marry somebody who loves you more.
Yo, what does that mean? Did anybody else learn? Was anybody else taught this? To find somebody who loves you more than you love them? If so, what does that mean to you? I'm very curious. How many of you were raised that way as well, to find somebody who loves you more than you love them? Because here's my thing. If you can be with somebody, and you know that they love you more than you love them, well, you don't deserve them. That's right, I said it. If you can be with somebody and you could get the best of them, you can get their heart, their time, their dedication, their attention, their affection, their love, their sex. You can get the best of them, and you know that they're in it deeper than you, then you don't deserve them. It is a lesson that we say, because what we're doing is we're protecting our own interests. We're protecting our own self, not giving thought that when you marry somebody, it ain't you and him. It ain't her and you. It's y'all. Y'all are one. And the way you treat her is a direct reflection, or should be, of how you treat yourself. And ladies, it's the very same thing. You can't treat yourself well and treat him like crap. That's not the way love works. And this kind of thinking, this type of mindset is why so many women are going to be alone, because they're waiting on somebody to be more to them than they're willing to be for somebody else.
Not that you can't be in love or love the ground he walk on, you can do all that, but he should be doing so much more. You're not supposed to be taking his crap, because you're not made to love him unconditionally.
I want you guys to hear the entitlement that you just heard. I want you guys to hear the entitlement that you just heard. Find a man who loves you more than you love him. He should be doing way more for you than you do him. He should be loving you. He's got to prove himself. And when, by the way, you were not made to love him unconditionally. Guys, this is what makes men say no. This is what makes men say, I'm not doing it. I'm not going. I'm not doing it. It is for reasons just like that. Hang on one second, guys. For some reason, I'm frozen. Hang on one second. You guys will be able to see me now. This is why so many men are saying, no, I'm not getting married. I got to come in and I got to pour on this love, and I got to pour on all of this affection, and I got to do more than you, and I got to love you more than you love me, and I got to prove myself to you. While in the back of my mind, I know you're not going to love me unconditionally. I know you'll never be the first one to show love because you're waiting on me to do something. Like, ladies, that is the wrong mindset to have. Does that make sense? And you can tell that this, what she's saying, this is not something that she's lived and life taught her these lessons. This is stuff that she's been handed down. And you hear enough little lessons and you put them all together into this big old book, and it just makes sense to you. I want you guys to think about what you heard. I'm gonna replay this. I need to make sure y'all heard this. I want y'all to hear how ridiculous this sounds.
Marry somebody who loves you more. Not that you can't be in love or love the ground he walk on. You can do all that, but he should be doing so much more. You're not supposed to be taking his crap because you're not made to love him unconditionally.
He should be doing so much more. You're not made to take his crap. You're not made to love him. So, ladies, what does a man get then? See, women who talk like this, what does a man get? Would he get access to sleep with you? Like, I'm sorry, the way that the world has moved, like, that is not really special like it was before. There's got to be something more. Men are not looking for projects. We're not looking for women that we got to go and we got to heal you and we've got to fix you and we got to love on you and we got to. The only way we get benefit is if we do something for you first. So you will consider me if I consider you. There's going to be some days where I told you guys it's not even. There are going to be some ups and some downs. And if we have a marriage where you're waiting on me to do and I'm waiting on you to do, then ain't nothing going to ever get done. And we're going to end up resenting each other, fantasizing about somebody else because we're not willing to do the work. Does that make sense? Marriage is work. It takes you giving something. It takes you not coming into it saying how much you deserve and what somebody should do for you. You got to go into it with a helpful mindset. And my concern is that a lot of men don't know what it means to be a husband and how to love, because masculinity has been reduced to he has to work, pay the bills. I told you guys, it's the PPP. It's penis protection and provision. As long as he does these things, then he's a man. And the other components that make men men, we don't talk about those things. And so men are expected to perform and to do, and most men don't know how to just be, because we get with women like this who need so much that we have to constantly stay in a performance mode and we can't ever just be. Listen to a little bit more, y'all.
That's why it hurts so bad when we get done wrong by somebody we love. Because in our heart of hearts, we know they're supposed to love us more.
Ladies, don't you listen. Ladies, do not listen to that. That is how you will stay single. And I think that there were a lot of decent women who could be potentially good wives that we've heard so much negativity and toxicity about the other sex, the other gender, we've heard so much about it that we're jaded without even going through the pain. Like, we got all of this animosity without even us experiencing that level of disappointment by ourselves, because we've been pumped in, that has been pumped into us for such a long time. Ladies, I want you to actively get that out of your spirit, get that out of your mind. All men out here ain't bad dudes. And contrary to popular belief, a man is not a good man because he earns a certain amount of money. A man is not a good man because he looks a certain way or has a particular build. He's not a good man just because he has the traits or he has the assets that seem attractive. Like, a lot of us, we got to get back to the place where we look at people's character. Like, what is his lifestyle like? Like, how does he conduct his own life? How does he respect himself? Like, what is his faith like? Like, if he's a man who practices his faith, is he serious about his faith? Does he love his family? What things is he passionate about? What are the principles he stands on? Like, ladies, these are some of the questions you got to ask yourself, because jobs come and go, cars come and go, and this economy, houses come and go. But what a man is, his heart and his integrity, if he's got the right character, it really won't matter what he loses, because he got what it takes to get whatever he lost back again. And the very same thing is for the brothers as well. Like, I know we're visual and we like to look at we like what we like. And I want you to keep on liking what you like. I just don't want us to stop at that. What does her heart look like? I know how she look in that dress. I know how she look in them jeans. But what does her heart look like? Like, do you see her loving on people in her own life? Have you ever seen her be considerate about elders? Who does she sit up under in terms of mentorship? What is she passionate about? What makes her develop herself as a person? Not as a candidate on the dating market, but what makes her develop herself? What is her faith like? Does she trust in God? Does she hold on? Does she live biblical principles? Or is she Sunday saint and then Monday through Saturday is she does whatever she wants to do? Like, we got to get to the place where we're looking at people's character, because ultimately all this other stuff fades away, but who a person is here, that's what remains. All right, guys, that's my monologue. What do you guys think about what we talked about? Did I break it down enough that it's not that wives are not to love their husbands? Did I explain it well enough? I'm going to open up the chat. I would love to hear from you guys on what we talked about, and let me know if I got it wrong. Just drop the link here. If you guys want to call in, I would love to hear from you. Link is in the chat. You guys call in. Let me know what you guys think. It would be good to hear from you. Again, shout out to Dr. Nakumbe for the $5 super chat. Let me play this super chat song, and then we'll be right back right after this.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shitty, my bros raw.
Okay, y'all, listen, I think this has been a good show tonight. The reason we're doing this is because I think people are ill-equipped. I think people are pushing off marriage or saying, I don't want it all together, because we don't have enough good examples. And the level of transparency is really difficult to be honest these days, to be honest with you. People will be like, I want you to be real, and then you get real, and then they get mad at you getting real, and they'll twist your realness up because they got upset. But for those who really want this, I do think it's important that we talk about marriage and we bring love back. I don't know about y'all. Now, listen, I'm not a novice at this. And so I understand that marriage itself is not about the feeling of love, but it is about the responsibility of love. It is about that being consistent. Because when you go through the vicissitudes of life, one thing is for certain, you're going to want somebody you can trust, and you're going to want somebody who loves you. All right, listen, Dusto's in the building. Let me pull him to the stage. Dusto, how are you? And what would you like to add to the conversation?
Yeah,
good to see you, man.
I think it's a delay on my computer. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, cool. Hearing what the pastor said, and then the women said this, and some of this here in the Bible, this. You either love somebody or you don't. Now, short term, yeah, you got your phases where you don't love somebody. But you can't beat somebody over the head with the Bible, or you're not loving that man. So you thump them with the Bible, and then all of a sudden they're going to go start loving them. If you don't like somebody, don't love them, it's not going to happen. And they're with the wrong man, or they are the wrong person, some version of it. The Bible can't fix that. I think that a lot of people weren't taught relationship skills.
Wait. Let's go back there. Because I hear you. So you said, so you can't Bible thump. What does Bible thumping mean? Number one. And then two, what do you mean the Bible can't fix that? Explain what you mean.
Okay. There's a woman and she's with a man. She don't want that man. She doesn't like him. She doesn't love him. You can't say, we'll go read these verses. Maybe you can pray it in there, but that's not the man she wants, and she's not going to act right. It's just not going to work. Just like a man and a woman, he don't want that woman.
So
you can't Bible it into him.
As it's not true. So I had a show on Wednesday. I'm not sure if you saw it, but Dr. Gail Crowder, awesome lady. Now she wasn't with a man that she didn't like and love, but her story was that she was the wife. If he said turn left, she went right. If he said do this, she did the other thing. She was that. Like, she wasn't trying to hear it. What she do as a Christian woman, you go to the manual and you figure out yourself and how to do it right. So I disagree from the perspective that, so when you say Bible thumping, what it does is it attaches a negative, connotation to scriptures. And I think it makes people say, you know what, that's right, the Bible, you can't. But if you're going there to get instructions, which is what it's for people who want to be better and really change their perspective on stuff, the Bible absolutely is a foundational tool necessary for that.
Right. Going for instructions is different than you go and you ask, or there's somebody telling you and thumping you with the back of the head with the Bible. Oh, get over there and go look at that, man. Go do that. And the people are seeing the dark holes in the conversations. They're seeing happiness ain't in the Bible. Happiness don't matter. Oh, okay. They're like, all right, I'll show you some happiness.
And even that's not true. Even that's not true. Happiness.
You were correct. You were correct. It is in there, but you kind of get where I'm going. So the Bible didn't say look both ways before you cross the street, but I bet you're gonna look both ways before you cross the street. Let's be real. So a lot of people are saying, well, it ain't in the Bible, it don't matter when it's convenient. Then they say, go submit to me because the Bible said so. Or they're just using, that's what I mean. And they're not getting to the roots of the problem or having the real conversations. Why you don't love this man? What's going on with you? What's going on with him? Oh, well, he won't listen to me. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk to the real problem. He gained 76 pounds in 2 months. Okay, let's talk about that. He cheated with an uglier woman than me. Okay, let's talk about that. Instead, it's, he's a man, he's black, submit or I'm going to hit you with this Bible. No. Or you said you were going to marry him? Get back in there.
So while I
leave him because of God.
Well, I respect your perspective. That is off. Most people aren't Bible thumping that way. So I think what we've seen is you see people like on YouTube or a church, and then you see enough of that circulating. You think that's how it goes. That's really not how it goes.
Right. Yeah, I'm exaggerating.
To be honest with you, and I'll be real honest about this. I don't think people are taught how to love. You see what I'm saying? I think we're told that you're supposed to love, but what does love look like? Man, I don't think a lot of people know what that is. And that's why Titus made sense, where it's teaching women how to love their husbands, right? So you talk about relationship skills are learned, right? And so you got to go someplace and read something that has information that you don't have so that you can learn from it. So this is why I like when you bring that up, because that's exactly what in this situation, what the scriptures are supposed to do. It's supposed to help you to learn something you don't know, and then give you the tools to practice that to get better at it.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that part. And I know you're coming from. I know where you come from. We talk. I know you're not coming from. I'm just talking about as a general in the conversation and from the clips and what's being said, what's being heard, what's kind of out there.
Yep.
A lot of belief in this. All you got to do is submit to these men, and everything gonna be all right. They don't believe in the men. If you look at how a lot of them are moving and hear what's being said, you wouldn't push your daughters over to them either. Does it select few men, small percentage that are willing to do what they're supposed to do? The rest of them are out fully dusted and crusted.
How do you determine that though? Like, how do you determine that most of these men, like where does that come from?
Talk to them.
No, I'm asking you specifically. You talk to them. So how many do you talk to in a given week? How many different men do you talk to?
Hold on just a second.
So here we go with these made up statistics. Dr. Still, I'm gonna bring you up. I'm gonna bring you up to get Dusto correct.
According to last calculations, 13.786% of the men I talk to in the. I'm just saying.
So I'm saying this because we gotta throw that lie out. It's not most men. That's just not the case. I'm gonna tell you this. We often have the discussion that women are initiate divorce at 80% of the time, right? Women are the first to initiate. The reverse of that is men are typically the last to leave. If you flip the conversation from that perspective, a lot of times it'll show you that a lot of men do want it. A lot of us just haven't been taught what it takes to make it work. This is why you take people who've been married one time and then let them get married a second time. The chance statistically for that second marriage working or failing is lower than the first marriage. And what's the reason for this? And it goes third marriage. Like, what's the reason for this? It's because typically what you don't learn in the first marriage, because you don't think you're with the right person, unless you really take a look at yourself and make the adjustments and the changes, you don't carry that same mentality, and you're only going to replicate the dysfunction in the next relationship you're in. That's what I'm saying. A lot of women say, I don't like my man right now. Well, in marriage, you're going to go through phases where you don't like each other. That's just what it is. You're not going to always like your wife. You're not going to always like the way she looks. She's not going to always like the way you look. So what's deeper than your looks is your character. It's your heart. Is that other stuff. Is the ability to talk to each other and to be candid, and then to put in the work necessary to get you guys back to a place where you like each other again. You understand what I'm saying?
I had a question.
Yeah, talk to me.
If you went to go see a movie that just came out, it started at 7:05 and it ends at 9:50. At 8:30, everybody's walking out of the movie theater. Is there something wrong with the people watching it, or something wrong with the movie?
Hold on, say that again.
There's a movie theater. There's a movie. Blade Fighter 6 just came out. They hyped it up. They said, oh, man. You get to the movie theater late, you're rambling and scrambling. We got there. And the movie started at 7. It ends at 9:50. 8:30, half the people that already walked out of the movie. Is something wrong with the movie, or something wrong with the people who walked out?
Well, hold on. Did you see the movie? Yeah, because if it's that question is interesting, because you're assuming that people walking out of the movie, you're assuming why they're walking out. The movie, something could have happened to the movie in that theater, right?
The women keep telling you why they're walking away from the movies. Communication, infidelity, incompatibility, unrealistic expectations, and bad financial management. They've been saying it over and over and over again. Now, I'm not saying blame the men's and blame the women's. I'm just saying men are dusting. What do you expect 4 meters away from men who dust? Dusty women.
No, so
all these dudes are doing the best they can in the post
I'm gonna use your experience. I'm gonna use
all
your
the
example
women
against you.
are all over the place.
No, I'm gonna use your example against you. I'm going to use your example against you. So the women are saying, that men aren't communicating, men aren't so and so, men aren't that, right? So let's say you have a group of women who don't like comedies at all. They just don't like comedies. Like, they're not into comedies at all. And you try to get them to go to a comedy movie. All they like is love stuff. They like drama, not comedy.
There's the problem right there. That's the problem.
That's inherently your example. So you're suggesting that because women don't want it, that there is something wrong with the men themselves. Sometimes it's just a woman's preference. It has more to do with her than it has to do with him. Like, what we've taught men to do is look at themselves as the reason for why women don't want to be with them. And this is why you got the whole high value conversation. You got to make 6 figures. You got to have a certain car. No, listen, now this is coach talking. I've been doing this for years. We've made men feel like they have to become X, Y, and Z for women to be attracted to them, because it's not enough for a woman to say, I just don't like you. So men are jumping through hoops, trying to be something that they're not, to impress women who won't be impressed, because a lot of them women don't even like themselves. That's the real conversation we have to have.
The 6-figure thing, the 6-figure, that's something the internet and whatever made up. You're in what, Dallas? Mandra, you're in Alabama. Eugene, you're in somewhere in the South. Go to the apartment complex. Regular people live, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. You're going to see some regular dude with post office uniforms. Some of them got wives, and they're not leaving that man. But the internet tells you all this other stuff. But a lot of those men have relationship skills.
So I think that's what happens is we have a conversation online, and in our bubble, we think that it's in our bubble. Like, I've been traveling, going different places, and the reason why the internet has exploded, now to some degree it's probably hyperinflated, but these conversations are being had every place, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that, even in Sir Hill's example, there lies the answer. The problem is men are getting the wrong instruction. Okay, if a guy, let's say a guy wants a woman who requires a man to be 6 foot tall, have a six pack, and six figures. Well, if you want that woman, then that man needs to go out there and do those things to attract those women. But I mean, I don't know why you want that. But anyway, like Dusso said, the vast majority of people are not doing that. They're not even looking for it. The vast majority of people are not looking for that. It's more so a loud minority of women yelling this nonsense. And some people are picking up on it, even though they know full well they're in no position to demand such things. This is both genders, men and women. So you got some women who drink the Kool-Aid and say, hey, I want this stuff. Like, yeah, lady, the guys that you're looking for, these are the kind of women that they're looking for. So go and become that woman then. Oh, but I already have 2 kids. Well, tough luck. And there's no one telling them that part. There's no one telling them that part. Some women and some men are already eliminated from obtaining those types of things. And that's part of the lesson they're not getting. Okay. And then you got men. I'm all for telling men to go be their best selves and do the best they can. Strive to be as great as you can. But you can't tell men that all women, you have to be this guy and fit in this box to attract women. That's just not true.
So here's what I'm saying. But that's been what's being pushed. That's why I'm doing this stream tonight, because people are just being fed the wrong stuff. Like if I wasn't married today, and I'm being 100% honest, and as a 36-year-old man, I'm listening to what I'm hearing, I'm gonna be a hoe for the rest of my life. I'm being 100% honest with you, because if I look, so a wife ain't gonna love me. I'm not gonna get that back. I got to make this money. I got to be a certain height. And then here's the damaging part. So let's say I work to be all of that. And then I see men who are higher than me, they're getting a divorce. They're being put on child support. And the women are leaving those men for the very men that they said that they didn't want. It's like, hold on. We running in circles.
You're proving my point.
No, I'm not proving your point.
You just did.
I'm making a point that what we've done is we've made men become something that they're not, for women who don't really understand what they want. And the real truth, I believe, is the more you need a person to be for you, that speaks to a deficiency you have in yourself. Like if you putting the pressure on them to be everything, that means you lack something. You see what I'm saying? I really believe that. And I think that from a lot of women's cases, they managed to be 6 foot this. I watched this clip. I forgot this. She's a white lady. But she did this video on women who wanted men who were 6 feet tall, and the majority of the women. I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think the number one reason was that the majority of women needed a man who was 6 feet or above? What was the number one reason why?
Protection.
Somebody said protection.
It's a lie.
But just real quick, what do you think? Just if you could just guess, what were the reasons that the women needed a man to be 6 feet?
Protection.
Protection, Mandrell?
Provision.
I mean, 6 feet. Protection. Well, 6 feet has nothing to do with the provision part, but I think it's just the illusion of him, of her being. I don't know, man. I mean, the whole thing's
I'll tell
goofy.
you. I'll tell you. It blew my mind. It blew my mind, because a lot of women were insecure about their own height and their own looks. So women who were overweight or felt a little bit taller, you got a bigger man, you get a chance to hide behind him. So really that man, him being 6 feet, him being good looking, him having that money, is hiding the insecurity she has about herself.
Sir Hill, where'd you hear this?
Yeah, I'll take you to it. Like, this is not to say that height doesn't have anything to do with protection or provision, but I'm saying some of those reasons why is because some of those women were taller than average, or they were bigger, and they said, like, because if she gets overweight and she stands next to her man, she doesn't look like that. But if it's
yes, she does.
But no. But here's what I'm saying. We know that, but this is what they were saying.
Well, why is it okay? My thing is, why is there no one telling them that that's not true?
Well, see, the young lady actually did. So that's not the point of this me bringing that up. Is that what we think it's for is something completely different. It's about how you look. Now, we can say the reverse, though. a lot of men will want the best looking woman, right? Because most of the time they not the best looking dude, and you have a good woman on your arm, she automatically boosts your social standing, right? So we both do that as men and women, right? We both do that.
But that's temporary, though. I mean, yeah, people are gonna look at that dude like, but they're looking at that guy like, how in the world did he pull her? You know what I'm saying? So then I'm gonna look at the woman like there's something wrong with her. Like, lady, you could have done so much better, but that's what you chose. Okay. So for me, she'd be standing off. So that doesn't work out well. You know what I mean? I don't know why people think that, because I mean, it doesn't work.
But I mean, can you guys at least see that logic? Why you're with somebody and they help masks your own insecurities? I mean,
no, because here's the thing: if you're overweight, you're still gonna be overweight with or with that person. If you're a tall woman, you're gonna be a tall woman with or without that person.
But Mandrill,
the problem ain't going away.
Mandrill, listen to you. I'm sure you heard it say, "Ma'am, you're overweight," but my man like it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's where that comes from.
No, your man lady. Your man is being polite. He has to sleep in the same bed with you.
We know that, but I'm telling you.
He has to sleep in the same bed with you. So he's going to tell you, baby, you look fine. It's all right. You're beautiful. You're big and beautiful. Don't worry about it. See, he's gonna want to be intimate later, and if he says the wrong thing, that goes close at night. You know what I'm saying?
Let me get Charles Smoke and Dr. Still in here as well. Charles Smoke, you have something to say, and then we're going to get Dr. Still as well.
Well, I was just going to speak upon usually the people that are making these braggadocious claims of what they deserve is usually lacking in a multi areas. So it does make sense that they would do it for superficial things to get a man that is 6 foot, but it still doesn't underline or touch the tone of the imperfections within themselves. And that there's nothing that the Bible gonna fix. There's nothing that counselor's gonna fix. There's nothing about eating right, using and taking vitamins and working. That's all a mental stimulation, if you will, that most men don't have the key to unlock. And we try to do that by simple things: paying the bills, taking the bulk of the responsibility in the household, contributing more when needed than necessary, fixing a car, changing a tire, putting roof up in the house, laying out some cement so your kids can play. We do these things in awe of her. Now, it doesn't matter, because most of these gentlemen that we're speaking of are going to be average, especially their wives, as the other gentleman spoke about, being around people around your near circle. But you can't change the mindset. And now let's look at this mindset. This mindset is being raised and triggered by a single mother 80% of the time, which is 90% of the time dogging the man that she had this child with. So that's where the beginning of this delusion begins. Even if you do have a proactive father, especially if we're talking about an African male father, which is more active than most fathers in their children's lives, whether you want to believe the statistics that say that they don't. We see it in live time. I just wanted to make it quick. Thank you for letting me speak. Gentleman on the top, you got it.
My man, Charles Smoke. Dr. Still, what about you? What's your thoughts on tonight's conversation? And before you go, let me give a shout out to let me give a shout out to Marcus Antonio Castillo. He says, let me have my public super chat and provide provision. Appreciate you, man. He brings back another $2 super chat. He says, this is for the Wig, Weave, and Extension Foundation for the WWE. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for that super chat. All right, Dr. Still, it's on you.
Well, they asked this question about why doesn't the Bible mention wife should love the husband? Because I think God knew that if a man give love, she's going to give it right on back. She's going to give you, if you give her that, well, it's not, I don't want to make it sound like it's happy wife, happy life or anything like that, because you still have to lead. But the thing is, if you give love, you're going to get it back. And I think God knew this. Okay, so
That's
why
not true, sir.
not.
That's not true. So, in the grand scheme of things, if you give love, you're going to get it back from some place. But it's possible to love somebody who will not love you back.
And that's true. That's right. So in my case, as a man looking for love, that's the type of woman I would want to look for, one who would give love back. Now, the thing about submission, a lot of women have got it so mixed up about submission. They think that they think it's slavery. They don't get a benefit out of it, or what have you. And there might have been some men in this world who actually use your submission just for their own power. But here's my stance on it. If a woman submits to you, then as a man, I must show her my appreciation for her submission. There are some women who are looking for, material things and money, but then there are some women who are looking for love and attention. Those are the things I'm willing to give. Personally, I want to give to her. I prefer a woman who wants to give love and affection. If she submits to me, I'll make sure I show my appreciation for her submission.
So I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna end because I want to get to Black Men Unfiltered show. Here's the thing about love for men when you read the Bible. Like, there's no stipulations. Like, it didn't say she got to be submissive to love her. It didn't say she got to be sweet to love her. It's like, you got a job to do, and no matter what, as long as you're in that, you got to do your job. And it's tough to hear that, because what we've done in this, this particular climate is everything is transaction. So if she does this, then you would do this. And if you stand on biblical principles, it's tough to be a married man, because you have to do it no matter what, whether you feel like it or not. Let me take it even deeper. Even if she deserves it or not, as long as you are in it and you choose to walk away, then that's a whole different conversation. But if you make a commitment to be there, then you got to do what it takes. And the same thing with women. Like, it tells wives to submit in everything, because women experience love through a man's sacrifice, and men experience a woman's love through her submission. And I think it was speaking to our natures and to the culture at that time as well. Anybody want to chime in on that?
Yeah. Well, I was going to go back to something. We're talking about this is what the women want because this is what they're saying. Just like if you ask any man what type of woman you want, nobody's going to say, I was looking for a masculine baby mama with 3 wigs and 4 kids. They're not going to tell you that. If you go ask a woman, who do you want? They're going to start making up a character. But after you ask her, excuse me, let me see your cell phone. Scroll up and down and see who she really wants. Ask that dude, he's flying up and down the interstate 7, 8, 9 o'clock to see Wiganisha. That's meaning, if this were real, and these men were all these 6 foot, 6 figured, whatever, all the women will be lined up at the bank and the clubs will be empty. All the kids, we wouldn't talk about 6 feet, because everybody would be 6 feet, because that'd be the only dudes producing. Tall men, and all the dudes would be 6'3", 6'4". Kids be tall too. So
that's a bad argument.
Somebody got to be lying.
That's a bad argument. Like that suggests, like, because you want something, you're gonna line up for it.
Yeah,
you can have a want that you won't necessarily pursue. If you ask most women, most people have a general thing that they want. Most people do. But when you start putting things into perspective about and being more realistic, then that kind of gets tailored.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I went to college, and I guess they all want rich 6-figure men. College people were dating college people. In the Army, it wasn't the generals that had 50 women lined up. There were E1s, E2s, E3s, E4s, E7. They were married. The marriages were disasters, but it wasn't because of money. But there were women dating these 19, 20-year-old E2s with broke down cars.
That's a terrible example, because we're talking about successful marriages, but you kind of proved my point.
No, not that. It had nothing to do with It had nothing to do with money. Nothing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to marriage, people who don't know what it takes to be married, they're going to fail because they don't have the skills. I don't care what you have.
No, that's not true either.
Hold up. Relationship skills is the thing I've been preaching.
Yeah,
communication,
I think it's
expectations, attraction. That's the real thing.
okay.
But they're going to keep telling you about these fictional fake alphahood. You got to yell at the woman at this, and she got to do all this junk. They keep saying 6-figure, 6-pack. And there's a dude who's 5'8", funny looking with one leg, got 70 ladies lined up, and he's deciding which one he wants to marry.
Right, and the thing is, no,
Sam likely off the show for that. Now,
no,
Steele,
that's not true. No, hold on.
You know he just lied.
No, he didn't.
You know
did.
he just
No,
lied.
he didn't. You did, Sir Hill.
Soft skills. Sam got the
Here's
ladies.
my thing. Here's my thing. You did, Sir Hill.
How was the married man lying about this? Now you guys
Because here's why. Let me explain. Name me one married couple that you know of who knew how to be married before they got married, or when they got married, or 5 years after they got married.
No,
there's no instruction manual to it. You learn along the way.
The skills.
What skills? You didn't have skills when you're married, and you've been married God knows how long, 15 years or so.
No, you do.
Mandrell, we got to get him on a dust panel.
You don't have.
Oh, yeah, you dusted, Sir Hill.
You guys are talking.
You dusted.
Let's switch out skills for character.
So it's
You
not that I didn't have the
dusted,
skills.
Sir Hill.
No, listen. You got to listen. I've been doing this been married for going on 16 years.
Right,
now.
and you're successful at it, right?
And with her 18. So yes, I had the
And you didn't know what you were doing when you first got married.
Mandrell, this is where you listen, Mandrell. I did have the tools, but over the years they got sharpened. So now that my tools are sharpened, my job now is to help other people to get it quicker than I did. Always had the tool. I didn't know how to wield it, and it wasn't as sharp as it should have.
Well, then what use was it if you didn't know how to wield it? If you got an elephant gun, but you're shooting,
that's like saying what good is the materials to make a car if it's not a car? It's the materials to make a car.
But you don't know how to make a car.
But
you don't know what a torque wrench is.
Well, I can share the short version because, like Sir Hill said, basically we've been DNA'd and taught through life how to sustain, maintain a family indirectly through working at a young age and taking responsibility, doing that first job at whatever crappy place, at whatever paying job, or doing a paper route, treating this girl at this age like a princess, taking this girl and bring some flowers and some candy. So we've been given the traits and the tools. All he's doing it now is sharpening it to the woman he chose. So there's already been a foundation set from the family. And at that time, most of us here had a unit.
Right. But
hold on, man.
Hold on. Say that for the people in the back.
Let me give a shout out to
the security boss.
SBU Live.
Yep.
Mandrell, there's a blueprint for marriage. Simon
yes,
Hectic,
and remarkably, none of you follow it.
Simon Hectic is right. They always questioning the goat at this. I've been at this for 16 years.
Please,
you don't tell me.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, and I'm actually show you how you're wrong.
No, you got some nerve. You got some nerve. You got some nerve, Mandrell.
Hold on. If that blueprint was so great, why do 50% of the marriages fail? Now I understand security bosses. Wait, hold on. Let me finish.
I'm going to answer.
I understand. Hold on. I understand security bosses.
I'm going to answer it. The reason 50% and they got the skills is because most people can't read. They can't read and they're unwilling to follow.
Stop the madness, Sir Hill speaks.
Now you disagree.
Sir Hill speaks. Come on.
So now you disagree.
Listen, okay.
You know I'm telling the truth. Most people are
parents
not willing to figure out what the instructors are, and then let Mandrell tell it. So let's do this. You know when we work out, it's a lot of people who start. How many people do you know that will go the entire year building and doing it year in and year out? Even if they know it's good for them.
I would.
No. How many people do you know?
A few.
Oh, a few.
You see what I'm saying? That's part of the marriage. Anything that take work, most people are not willing to do it year in and year out. And that's what marriage is year in and is year out. And most people aren't willing to do that.
Sir Hale, the people are not being taught.
Thank you. No, they're not.
Right here,
Sir Hale speaks in the building.
No, Sir Hill, you don't have. Sir Hill, you don't have 300. You don't have 300 million people watching your show.
They're not being taught.
I keep on tuning in, and I will.
You don't have 300 million. There are over 300 million people in America. You don't have 300 million people watching your show, so there ain't nobody being taught. Even security boss teaches. all the time. She does sometimes, yeah. But but for the most part, Security Boss has a really good message over there. Okay, super good message. I think all women should at least listen to her, whether you agree or not. But even the people who listen to her and will agree with her, they'll still argue with her. People don't honestly don't think people don't.
It is at this point that Mandrell is just talking in circles, and I don't know what this man is saying.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you absolutely are.
No, I'm not.
He's trying to teach y'all unmarried folks how to get married.
Right.
And instead of y'all being students sitting at the desk of married people and learning, you guys want to tell us what it takes.
Yeah, because you got it wrong.
Dr. Steele,
you got it wrong, Sir.
Dr. Steele, can you tell me what profession that the students teach the teachers? Can you tell me what profession that is?
Listen. Here's the thing. I got it, sir. The bottom line is this. The bottom line is this, Sir Hill, is that when people get married, they don't know what they're doing. They have Security Boss said there's a blueprint. She's talking about the Bible. But people, it doesn't help. People still don't know what they're doing. No one's being taught. Just like Dusto just said, you can't read. You can't read something.
What do y'all
English.
think Sir Hill Speaks podcast is all about? People are not being taught. You know what, Mandrell, you're right. So here's what I want you to do. For those who are not being taught, send them over to Sir Hill Speaks Network, and I'm going to get them correct. I'm going to get them right.
We'll go to all of Black YouTube and round up the troops and tell them watch Sir Hill Speaks. If you want,
Now listen, Dusto, you don't send anybody.
3 of them come over here.
Dusto's gonna send trolls over here. It's gonna be people over here dusting it up, gonna be arguing to argue. They don't want to hear nothing. They're not gonna be to read my channel.
I'll take the trolls. Send them to my channel.
I won't. I don't need trolls over in my channel.
Sir Hill, hear me out. The people are not being taught how to communicate. They're not being taught how to resolve problems. They're not being taught how to sit down with the woman, work out something. They're not being, instead,
Charles Smoke.
They're
I've said
not.
it 17 times. That
This is what I'm looking for the content and I can't find it myself.
And Dusto keep saying nobody's being taught. And I'm over here with a certain tie on.
Sir Hill, okay, here's my point. Out of all.
Thank you, sir. I couldn't take it.
I bring the Big Picture podcast.
No,
I bring Dusto. You know what it is?
Here's my proof. Here's my proof, Sir Hill.
Whenever I get Dusto and Mandrell on the same stream, this happens every single time.
No, it doesn't.
This is what happens.
Here's my proof. Out of all of this entire sector of YouTube, only one couple got married in all this time. Jedi Mike and his wife. One. Period.
How many people stayed married?
It is yet to be seen. There's been divorces. There's been more divorces. There's been more divorces and breakups than marriages. There's only been one marriage.
So here's what we're doing. It's not just people getting married. It's people staying married, and then people who are staying married being married in a healthy way. So we got to look at the full range of all of this, right? It's the whole criteria.
Okay.
Come on, Mandrell. This is the
you didn't prove anything.
I'm giving you the big picture for what we're doing, man.
That is not the big picture. That is not the big picture. That is not the big picture.
Step away from the scope. And look at the broad picture sometimes. That's all.
I am looking at the broad picture. And out of all of this sector of YouTube, one person endeavored to be better. Me. Out of
You sound like the person that's looking for a request at the DJ booth. Hey, DJ, play my song.
It's the truth. And I'm not saying that I'm not doing it just to say that I did it. No, I honestly want to be a better person every single day. And I try to every day.
She said you're wrong. She says Cam and JB as well.
Oh,
now you know what, Mandrell, to your point, and I'm gonna be transparent with you right now. I do
that
say
doesn't help, SB.
Yeah, but take a listen, guys, and I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I do think that there is a particular area that married people have failed. So you know how like you go get a product from the store and it comes with manuals with a manual as to how it's supposed to work, but there's nothing to really troubleshoot if it goes wrong. So I think what we've done is we've told people to be married and what it's supposed to be, but people be going through some stuff and don't know how to get out of that. And I think this is where I'm working to be more transparent, is what happens when you go through a patch in your marriage and you don't see a way out of it. And it looks like the only way is divorce or breaking up. Or what happens if somebody steps out? Or what happens if somebody has an emotional, like what happened? What do you do in a difficult time? So I think that's the gap that we're missing. Because people get married and then they go through something that they can't tell anybody about, and then it messes everything up. And I think that's where married people have failed. Like we've given people the House on the Hills version. We didn't give them the parts that you're going to go through some storms and some issues.
Yeah,
we got to figure out a way to get through it together.
True, and
it's true. But
You know,
you're also, oh, go ahead, Mandrell.
yeah, I agree. What he's saying is true, but
Yeah.
that's not the problem. Watch your language, young fella. That's
I
not
said
the
one-
problem.
I said
That is
one
one
of the
of the problems. Okay, let's make sure we emphasize
Hold on,
that.
everybody, rewind the tape. Did Sir Hell say
We don't
that's
need to,
the
we
problem?
don't need to
or
rewind the
that's
tape.
one of the problems?
Look, I'm letting you have it.
All right, guys, listen, we're going to wrap up the show. Anybody have final thoughts on tonight's topic? Mandrell is. Anybody have final thoughts on this topic tonight? So this is what happens when there is a big brother who admires the younger brother.
I don't
This is what
admire
you guys
you.
are saying.
I'm
It
trying
is
to
Mandrell-
mentor you.
It is Mandrell who admires Sir Hell. This is why he gives me such
It
a
is
difficult time.
And
This
it's
is what
so
it is,
not.
guys. You guys are showing admiration.
Listen, Dr. Steele is a very intelligent man.
Yes, he is.
You're not fooling him but with this. And so is Mr. Charles. These are intelligent
Dr.
folks on this channel.
Doc, you're trying to
You're not
recruit.
fooling anybody.
You're trying to recruit these people. You know what?
I'm not trying
I'll give
to
everybody final
recruit
thoughts.
anyone, man. I mean, listen, here's the thing.
Mandrell, I'm going to say this to you. I can show you how to be successfully married if you just listen. And I want to do that for you because I care about you. You understand? I care about you, Mandrell, and I want to help you to be your best. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk.
There's nothing wrong with me, man. There's nothing wrong with being awesome, okay?
So we'll talk about
I'm
this
trying
off
to
camera.
help you out, but you don't want to, just like the younger brother always does, don't want to listen, okay? I'm glad I got my sister. She listens to me. That's why she's awesome.
I told her what it is. Listen, I got it. Let's get off here because I want to go support Black Men Unfiltered. But guys, like I'm glad that all of you came up here, and the reason why is because it shows that men do care about relationships, and I want us to change that whole narrative that we pump dump, we don't care. Most men, we do, and even if we don't know how to do it, we are trying. We may suck at it sometimes, but all of these brothers up here care, and I want that to be seen. So let me give everybody a final thought. And Mandrell, I'm gonna save you for last, man. I'm gonna give you time to say something nice. Dr. Steele, what's your final thoughts on the topic tonight?
Well,
Sir Hell, check it back.
Well, when you marry somebody, usually people marry for love. Two people giving love to each other. But nowadays, it's like people are marrying for the wrong reason. And a lot of times, divorces happen, strife happens, stress happens. We need to go back to the true foundation of a marriage, which is love, which is what I'm looking for, and some women are looking for it. Of course, there are the roles that God assigned to us, but we also must show appreciation to each other for performing these roles. After being in 4 prior relationships, which bad, I went back and reflect on it to see what was missing, and then after watching YouTube, I finally figured out, what was wrong. So I want to apply everything what I've learned about being a boyfriend, being a husband, and the one common denominator is being the leader of that relationship, but also making sure that I showed the woman appreciation for playing her role as a wife. So I got.
Salute you, Dr. Steele. Glad that you came up here. It is always good to see you. Thank you so much for your support. Everybody in the chat, just type in Dr. Steele. Much appreciation to you, sir. Charles Smoke has become a brother to the stream. It's been very supportive. I appreciate you, man. What are your final thoughts on tonight's topic?
Shoot, I'm trying to see what he got to say and see if he's gonna be nice at the end. I'm going on odd saying no, but survey says. Because I love it. Sir, after you.
Yep.
Come on, Charles, man. Okay, here's the thing. Kudos for trying. Okay.
Dustos, it was good to hear from Mandrell. Dusto, what are your final thoughts on tonight's topic? We definitely want to hear from you as well.
Final. Go ahead, Mandrell.
Like I said, kudos to you and my rich auntie for trying. Okay, God bless her heart. She tries. I don't know how she got the stamina to endure it, but she does. God bless her. And to you, Sir Hale, you're pretty good. You'd be great if you just stop being so arrogant and hard-headed and listen every once in a while. Well, at least more.
Stop it. Get some help.
All right. Now, on a serious note, there's a lot to learn when it comes to relationships and relationship skills, and that's something that I don't want to say none of us, because that just wouldn't be true, but the vast majority of us are not taught that. We're not taught relationship skills. Even at childhood, boys not really taught anymore how to treat girls. Girls not taught how to treat boys. We're not taught how to get along. So that carries on into adulthood. You know, that lack of knowledge, you know, and it spins into all kinds of things. We're not being taught, men are not taught to be chivalrous. Women are not taught to be ladylike, you know. And so what you have now is a bag of cats. Everyone's taught to be out for themselves, and it's a free-for-all. So this is what you get when you don't educate yourself or don't be educated. You know, the root of the problem and the big picture here is that no one's taught how to do it. People are left to their own devices to figure out on their own. And when everyone's left to their own devices to figure out on their own, everyone's going to have a completely different answer to it. Instead of us coming together and comparing notes and figuring out what works and what does not work. What will work best for you and what will work best for Charles, what will work best for Dustin. We're only going to learn that by comparing notes and observation and experimentation. You know, we're not even taught patience or stoicism. And we wonder why we have these problems. These problems start way before we get into relationships with one another. They start much, much younger than this. So, root of the problem is, if you have children out there, please take the time to teach them what you've learned. Not just dive into the Bible and says, well, the Bible says this, the Bible says that. Your kid's going to say, yeah, I hear you, Dad, but what these people are actually doing is completely different from this. This what you're teaching me doesn't solve that. So you have to answer for that, what's outside of the Bible. The Bible is your base, yes, but it's supposed to grow from there. You're not supposed to stay in the Bible and just leave it right there and that's it. No. If the whole rest of the world changes, but your source does not, you don't ever grow from it, you're always going to be left behind. You're always going to be in a state of too late. And that's where I lay my plane.
Thank you, Mandrell. I appreciate that. That was the probably the best closing statement I've ever heard from you. This has been a really fantastic night, memorable. Everybody, shout out to Mandrell. He really does have a channel, the Big Picture Podcast. Hate him or love him, he has some conversations about some topics that most people don't want to go. They don't want to have those conversations. So everybody support the Big Picture Podcast, support Mandrell. This really is a good brother. Now, we joke a lot online, but I really have met him in real life. And to be quite honest with you, going through some very difficult times in my life, he's been a brother who's been there. And I mean that. So while you guys see us joking and going back and forth, when I say this is a good brother, I really mean that. So everybody, please go and support him. I support what he's doing. This is a good guy.
Thank you for that, Sir.
Yep. Dusto, it's on you. Shout out to you and everybody. Dusto has a channel as well. Now listen, everybody knows him as a troll, but he's an intelligent troll. There's a method to what he does. So please support what he does as well. Good brother, good guy. What are your final thoughts? How can we connect with you as well?
Good evening. And to all the single ladies, if your man ain't loving you right.
Thank you so much, Desto, for your thoughts. We appreciate your contribution to tonight's show. Much appreciation to you.
I had to do it. I did it on somebody else's panel. They was rolling. But no, no, real talk. Shout out to Sir Hale. Talk to him offline. Decent dude, good heart, really trying to do the best thing. So when we're beating him up, it's just conversation. It's all cool. But overall, out here, people aren't being taught, or they don't have a picture. They're not understanding. It's just not getting got. So the Talking Point Mafia came in and started pitching all this 6-figure 6, whatever, hate the women's, the men's. And it's an absolute mess. And it's so bad, the stuff they're being told, that you got broke dudes talking about getting passports in countries and they can't even spell. The answer is no. There are people looking for answers. I argued that a year ago, and I was like, no, this is just entertainment. And I found out it was the truth. People want answers. I'm single, and I still got dust and problems on Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, on my channel, I talk about some solutions. Actually, it's solution-based. There'll be some trolling. There'll be some clowning. There'll be some dust, but there'll be some real stuff, because certain conversations need to be had. Probably September, we'll be talking about actual relationship skills. What do you do if and when? How do you get from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4? I'm not going to be the one doing all the talking. I'm hosting it. I'm going to bring some pros. Hopefully Sir Hale comes over. That'd be great. But there's a lot that's missing from the conversation. There's a man, and then it's supposedly a wife. Then there's a Bible, and there's all this protection provided, and hitting her with a briefcase saying, oh, I'm alpha. Come on. Don't nobody want that. What's the communication factor? How do you appeal to a woman's needs? Oh, when she's having a bad day, how do you rub the shoulders down and get her to calm down and get to... That's the stuff they ain't talking about.
Man, you trying to make love or something? What's going on there, man? What you doing?
Ladies, if your man ain't loving you right, I can be reached at 832-555-DUST. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm not going to stop trolling. I just can't. It's in my blood. But check out my channel, Scam Likely Show. But salute to Sir Hale. Salute to all the other brother networks. Everybody keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive, stay motivated, and get in the gym. That's all I got. Dust and crust.
I'm ready.
Desto look like you. We'll talk off. We'll talk offline. Charles Smoke, it's on you, man. Your final thoughts on the show.
I think the show was awesome. The topics were awesome. The panel, awesome. But the one thing I do see in all of the scenarios of the brother that was given is no lack of effort on the gentleman's part. But I see we can implement everything in the world, but the mindset has to be there for the female. And what we're seeing now in abundance, divorces or whatnot, single family homes, is they're not willing to put in the work. Even if we don't have the tools, we still adapt to learn. And if it's not semi-equal or a little more less, especially on the other party, then it'll never become fulfilled. And that's where we got to focus on and fill that gap, is on how to make the narrative positive. And when you're out there married and going through it, you need to be talking to your spouse as well as other married people that's been in it long like you, that actually have something invested in it, versus these single hot mama girl, baby mama, baby daddy people that have no game or no wood in it at all. If you want to go learn how to be a carpenter, you don't ask a prostitute, you ask a carpenter. So again, communication, start there, find out the dislikes, find out what not triggering, but a way to convey it to each other, and understand what they're saying might be hard to listen to, but you have to take it, and don't be offended. Don't make it inward. Don't take it personally. Say this is coming from a general source of a person that has my great interest, truly. So what they're saying can't hurt me. It might make us better.
Charles Smoke, you know I appreciate you, my brother. Excellent, y'all. This has been a dope show. This has been great. Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love people. I love hard. And I think the tide is changing. And I think it's time for us to take our experiences so that you and I become better individuals because we share some mutual experiences. So much love to everybody in the chat. I'm going to leave you with this. If you got somebody in your life, love them. Be intentional about them. Do good to them. Invest. And give them the opportunity to do it back to you as well. Love the person you're with. Let's sow love. And I think we're going to make this world and our relationships a better place. Now, of course, we got a lot more work, but we got to put a little bit more love into this. Much love to everybody. You guys have a great night. If you're not doing anything now, head over with us to Black Men Unfiltered's show, the Barbershop Talk tonight. Show some love. Much love to you, Bravo with Sheila. Much love to you, all the moderators in the chat, all the subscribers, all the members. Much love to everybody. If you want to become a member of the channel, it is open for you as well. Much love to everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll talk with you guys again soon. And we are out of the building.
Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Yeah, yeah. 너와 있을 때 I swear. 제가 온도 zero. 폭설한 기출들. 꿈에도 I wasn't aware. 나만 빼고 넌 모두에게 참 친절해. 배신감이 들어 단판이 돼도 머릿속을 흔드니 ibuprofen 그만해 it's time to stop. 승부욕을 자극하는 style. Yeah. 알면서도 마음이 자꾸 내게 가. 아마 빠져버릴까. If you want me back, I'll tell you I'm sorry. If you want me back, I'll tell you stop trying. Yeah, you got me. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워.